this is Aaron of PRWebPodcast.com, and I'm very glad to be joined today by Nick Papain. He is the managing partner and a trial attorney at Sullivan, Papain, Block, McGrath, and Cannavo. Nick, how are you doing today?
Okay, Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining me. And can we start first, Nick, by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm for any of our listeners out there who aren't familiar with you guys?
Sure, Aaron. I'm a 1978 graduate of the American University Washington College of Law down in Washington, D.C. And since my graduation in 1978, some 30 years ago, I've been with the firm where I am today. Presently, the managing partner of the firm. We have 35 attorneys in the firm and a support staff of 65. And we specialize in the field of personal injury, representing victims of various types of wrongdoing, from medical malpractice to unsafe construction sites, motor vehicle accidents caused through the careless conduct of others, major catastrophes that result in massive injuries or deaths. And also we represent firefighters who have been injured on the job or fatally injured on the job, and any other type of accident that results in serious injury or the loss of life as a result of the wrongdoing of others.
Your firm's latest press release on PRWeb is announcing that you will be sworn in as the 41st president of the New York State Trial Lawyers Association on June 26th. So first, tell us about this association and what they do.
The New York State Trial Lawyers Association consists of more than 4,000 attorneys across the state of New York, and our constituency represents victims of negligence and wrongdoing, from medical malpractice, products liability, construction accidents, unsafe premises, toxic tort cases, and the like. And as an organization, we offer various educational services to our members, various resources for our members in terms of our area of practice. And also we take a rather vigilant position in terms of ensuring that the laws of our state protect the rights of victims to have their day in court.
As president, could you tell us about some of the responsibilities you'll be taking on, and please share some of your goals with us?
Part of our responsibility as an organization is to protect tomorrow's victims, you might say, of various types of wrongdoing, whether it's medical malpractice or dangerous products or unsafe construction sites that result in serious injury or death. And in terms of protecting tomorrow's victims in terms of their rights and their constitutional right to have their damaged lives redressed in court, we're vigilant in terms of making sure that the laws that are on the books that are intended to protect the rights of victims to have their day in court, to make sure that those laws stay intact and that the rights of victims are not in any way diluted because of special interest groups that are every day seeking to whittle away the rights of those that have been wronged through the acts of others. And among those particular areas of law that we are constantly seeking to keep a vigilant eye on in terms of victims' rights is medical malpractice. And one particular area in medical malpractice that we are trying to get our legislators to address is what we refer to as a statute of limitations. The time that a victim of malpractice has to bring a lawsuit against those that have committed the wrong. Currently, the law is 2.5 years from the date of the malpractice. In some, in fact, in a number of instances, this proves to be just completely unfair, where you have a patient who, for example, a woman who goes for a mammogram, and the mammogram results are tucked away somewhere, and they're read, and the patient is informed that she's fine. It came out normal. 3 years later, she goes for a repeat mammogram. This time, growth is observed on the films by the physician or the radiologist, and they look back and they pull out the mammogram that was taken 3 years earlier, and they realize that the radiologist misread those films, and that in fact there was a growth shown on those films that, had it been attended to 3 years earlier, would have resulted in catching that tumor and catching that cancer at a much earlier stage. But now it's 3 years later, and the cancer has progressed to a very dangerous stage. That patient has no recourse against that physician, against that radiologist who misread the films 3 years earlier. Why? Because the patient would have had to bring a lawsuit within 2.5 years of that misdiagnosis. The only problem with that is the patient wasn't informed and had no way of knowing of that misdiagnosis until some doctor took another mammogram 3 years later. So that woman, who has clearly been the victim of malpractice, has no recourse. And that's something we're seeking to change by having the law changed so that the patient has a certain amount of time after he or she should have been expected to uncover both the injury and the malpractice.
Like your job specifically as the president of this association?
Well, in addition to keeping a vigilant eye on the laws that are on the books in our state that are intended to protect the victims of wrongdoing and making sure that those rights are not in any way compromised because of special interest groups, and also in trying to strengthening the rights of victims to make sure they do have the full opportunity to receive full and appropriate compensation for the wrongs that have been committed upon them. We also, as I said, offer services, educational services to all of our members. It's something, we're not just an organization of the City of New York. We're not just an organization of the City of New York and Long Island. We're an organization that represents everyone, all trial lawyers in the state of New York, from Albany to Schenectady to Syracuse to Buffalo, down to Riverhead, New York. And we take great pride in making sure we can reach all our constituents around the state and offer them the resources that our members can provide to them through networking and through continuing education courses, making sure that they're up to date on the most recent state of the law, and also on various strategies and information that trial lawyers have uncovered in their particular cases that they can share with others.
And in case of our listeners out there have any more questions about either the New York State Trial Lawyers Association or your firm, Sullivan, Papain, McGrath, and Cannavo, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can reach the New York State Trial Lawyers Association through our website, which is NYSTLA, NYSTLA.org, and from there they can see exactly who we are. When I say we, I mean the New York State Trial Lawyers Association. And in terms of my firm, Sullivan, Papain, McGrath, and Cannavo, a viewer can see us on the web at triallaw1.com. That's TRIALLAW1.com, and they can see what type of services we provide and the knowledge, the experience, and the expertise that our staff brings to this area of the law. And if they have any inquiries they can fill out a form online and send that to us, and we'll be glad to respond.
All right, Nick. Well, it was a real pleasure having you on the podcast today, and I thank you for coming on and telling us about the New York State Trial Lawyers Association and your duties and roles there. And I wish you the best of luck with your position, and I hope to speak with you again soon.
Thank you, Aaron. My pleasure.